Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr., the most decorated NFL player of all time, just retired for the second time. And this time, he says it's for good. Well, to honor his incredibly decorated career, I want to say thank you, Tom, because you helped me pass the bar exam. Is Tom Brady secretly a bar tutor during the off-season? No, he's not. But he's an incredible competitor who never gives up, even in the face of horrendous odds, who, with his incredible grit, tenacity, and perseverance, inspires millions to also never give up. So let me tell you the story of how Tom encouraged me to never give up, but to face the obstacles ahead of me with everything I got. After I finished law school in December of 2016, I started to study for the February bar exam. And for those of you who aren't familiar with what that is, that's an exam that every law grad needs to take and pass in order to be licensed and to start practicing law. Well, that test is notorious for being extremely difficult. People say you need to invest about 400 to 600 hours on studying for it alone. So, how did bar prep go for me? And how does Tom Brady fit into any of this? Well, me being a cheapskate, I bought the cheapest bar prep course. And bar prep course is what everybody buys in order to prepare for the bar. Well, here's what's interesting about the course that I took. Early on, in one of the recorded lectures, I got probably the best and the worst bar prep advice one could ever receive. The bar exam actually freaks out a lot of students because if you fail, you can't even be a lawyer. Talk about pressure. So these bar prep courses often try to give advice that's more than just covering the material, getting your mindset right so that you can actually take the exam and pass. Well, the advice that I got in one of the recorded sessions was that there was no difference between the passing score and any score above that. This wasn't like a test in a school where you want an A, not just a C, because an A is obviously better than a C. But the bar exam, all you need is a passing score, because it's the passing score that gets you licensed. The point that the lecturer was trying to make was don't overstudy, because overstudying could actually hurt you instead of actually help you. It interferes with retaining information, you could get burnt out, mess with your head. It's just not good. And going crazy and putting like 1,000 hours into bar prep may not actually be the way to pass the bar. So that's what the lecturer was trying to say. And she even went on to say that every hour you spend on getting that extra point is an hour that you could have spent on doing other things that you enjoy, like hanging out with your friends. Now, how I took this advice was you're wasting your time and you're wasting your life if you don't try to get exactly the passing score. If you don't try to pass the bar with the least amount of studying, you're a wasteful piece of trash. So what did I do? I said, screw it. I accept your challenge. And so I pretty much stopped studying until like February. And by the time February rolled around, I panicked. There was shame, doubt, regret. All I could think about was if I failed the February exam, the next exam wasn't until July. And even if you take the July exam, it takes like 2 months to get the result, which means that I wouldn't be able to start practicing until October, which was an almost entire year after I finished law school. So yeah, I was a wreck. I was like, what the heck was I thinking? Then in early February, a miracle happened. And no, I didn't all of a sudden develop the ability to memorize hundreds of pages of useless legal information or anything like that. What happened was Tom frickin' Brady. February 5th, 2017. All you Tom Brady fans, you know what I'm talking about. Tom was going for his Super Bowl ring number 5 to solidify his GOAT status. And there was just one team standing in his way, the Atlanta Falcons. And the game was horrible in the first half for Tom Brady. Well, in most of the third. They were down like 21-3 at half, and at one point they were down 28 3. So yeah, it was pretty horrible. But somehow I was cool, calm, and collected. For whatever reason, I knew the game wasn't over. In fact, one of my buddies texted me and was like, sorry man, it looks like the game is over. And I responded saying, I don't know what game you're watching, but I'm watching the greatest comeback of all time. Well, y'all know what happened. The Patriots, led by the great Thomas the GOAT Brady, came back and won it in overtime. The greatest Super Bowl performance of all time. That game was an inspiration. By then, I had about 2 weeks until bar exam, and starting the next day, I buckled down and started attacking those bar prep books. And every few hours, I would just watch highlights of that game, just to get pumped up, just to believe that the impossible was possible. Well, the 2 weeks went by pretty fast, and I was studying until the last minute. I finished the exam, and I had no idea how I did. I had to wait 2 excruciating months to get the result. But when the result came out, boom, there was my name. Only 67% of test takers passed that exam. And you know, I think I might have been part of the 33% that failed if it wasn't for you, Tom Brady. You are an inspiration, retired or not. That will never change. Well, everybody, I hope you enjoyed that story about how my bar prep went. If you did, please subscribe and click the bell, and I will see you next time. Peace.